Scorpio, welcome to your weekly sidereal forecast for July 27th through August 2nd. My name is Athen. So we've got only a couple major things going on this week, but they are very important. We have the full moon taking place in Capricorn in your third house, as well as Jupiter squaring up to Saturn all week long, and Saturn going station direct. So very important things, but let's go ahead and look at it in detail for you in your chart. So the major thing here is as we get into the week, you'll be leading into this full moon of your third house, which is about communications and things like that. Siblings is also seen from the third house, day-to-day things, your mind, anything new you've started basically over the past 6 months involving this. Maybe a new book you picked up, new knowledge, new course, just a new outlook, new perspective, new way of speaking and thinking about things is going to be a culmination point of that, and anything involving peers or siblings as well. So as the week unfolds, the energy will start to build of this lunar cycle, and this is certainly from that leading into that third house. Now, the new beginnings that you had 2 weeks ago can certainly be culminating around Friday as well, and this is in relation to these new deeper outlooks on life, or new truth and transformation, which was that new moon in the 8th house, and maybe even these things that you're involved with right now involving adventure, travel, expansion, opening your horizons, which is all this activity in your 9th. So that being said, as we come into this week, we do have some important week aspects from the previous weekend. It was a very important weekend coming into this week, and that'll be leading into Monday and Tuesday. One was that Mars was squaring up to Uranus, so hopefully you're prompted to make some change involving some of this transformational stuff, deeper stuff. This is deeper bonds. This might be, debts, having more freedom by removing yourself from debts and things like that kind of hold or bind you down, whether it's material or otherwise. Wanting to see the truth, esoteric information, piercing the veil of reality, things like that, and perhaps taking relationships to a deeper level and being more open and more vulnerable with yourself and others to, of course, redeem the self and heal and all that stuff, which is the 8th house. So whatever that has been, that was the emphasis mostly last month, but earlier in early part of July. And before that as well, but you still have Mars here. So anything new that prompted you here over the weekend involving those things to take action is very important, because again, this is your ruler. So a lot of change, a lot of revolutionary energy available coming into this week for you in particular, maybe even involving your health and your routine, which is Mars also ruling your 6th house. Also during the weekend, we had Uranus going retrograde and Venus retrograde. So coming into this week, continue to reflect on anything that is about freedom. Uranus has been transiting your 5th house, and now you have an opportunity here for the next 5 months or 6 months to think about how you can have more freedom in your self-expression, more freedom and more enjoyment in your life in general. So some things there are changing and have been. So learning more about that, being willing to think about those things and put those into action will be important, as well as reflecting on your values about work and career, maybe relationships at work or relationships in general. Venus rules your 7th, but maybe redoing some things at work, and maybe so you can have more spiritual time, alone time, or make your work more meaningful, more true to what you're really about, which is again Venus ruling your 12th and all this activity of that 8th house with your ruler here. So that is the emphasis going into Monday and Tuesday. So it's all about setting foundations there and reworking and changing a lot of this energy, because we have a lot of retrograde planets right now, and Venus and Uranus recently joined the mix with that, and then Mars squaring Uranus really helps solidify these things so we can have more enjoyment and freedom in our life. So that's Monday, Tuesday. Then Wednesday, Jupiter squares up to Saturn within a 1-degree orb exact for the next week and into next week as well. So this is all about expanding our hard work, and vice versa, taking these possibilities, these opportunities, and making them into something real and long lasting, which is Saturn. So that's what happens when these two planets come together, and the square energy does make it very concretized and very real. So for you, this has been your 9th house, where you've had Jupiter transiting for about the past year, expanding just your life in general, perhaps through wisdom, through gurus, through university, through spiritual studies, through travel, things like that, whatever you've been involved with about that adventurous spirit over the past year. is going to continue this week, but this week is about solidifying them, grounding them, slow and steady, anything long-term, any final foundations you want to build with that, which is Saturn. And I do recommend it, of course, because that's the best way to work with this square sort of energy. And Jupiter is going to be leaving your 9th house next week, going into your 10th of work and career, which is quite nice. But it's a good idea now, anything this week, to work hard with either even study, wisdom, things like that, I think will be very important before transitioning into the part where it's taking what you've learned about your life path and then making it into something that is your service, which is the 10th house. So very important there. Jupiter does rule your 2nd and your 5th house too, so concretizing and staying disciplined with the material side of things, maybe resources, finances, things like that, as well as your self-expression will be important considerations. But it's pretty well aspected. I mean, Saturn is in dignity here. And Jupiter, is well aspected from the other planets and such. So I think mostly just generally we're going to want to put in this hard work, but it's a good idea to do it in either case. Now, to get a little more idea of this, Saturn did recently go into your 12th house just this July. And so there's been this, discipline now for you to put in regards to your spirituality and your alone time and tranquil energy, which is that 12th house. So now this month, Saturn's going to be finishing up that transit of that 12th, then going back into your 1st, where he'll be for the next 2.5 years. So anything there that's important for you now this month, and this week is no exception, to build foundation so you can have more alone time, more tranquil, peaceful time in your life. It's a good week to put in that energy, because Jupiter, just like Saturn's grounding this, Jupiter's expanding this part of your chart here. And that's also involving your communications and home and family things as well, with Saturn ruling your 3rd and your 4th house. So that's the emphasis this week, is that Jupiter squaring up to Saturn. A couple of things that'll be important because of these signs that they're in is Venus, who rules Libra, recently going into your 10th, is just continue to reflect on, this public stuff or relationships and the spiritual nature stuff. This is all facilitating these changes, as well as the Sun, who recently went into your 9th. You guys are in a very expansive time, but transformative time. But there's a lot of awareness. There's a lot of insight about, life and spirituality in general. So use that, because there's a lot coming in right now at the moment for you there. And that's, again, supporting this square. So hard work. This full moon is in Capricorn, so it's a very disciplined kind of week, and it's especially emphasizing that 12th, 9th, and 3rd house for you. So then Friday, we do have that full moon. So culmination of all those things mentioned around the exchanges, your anything new you started to learn, communicate, share, exchange over the past 6 months, and all this transformational stuff and philosophical stuff really coming to a high point. This is important too around Friday to balance the left brain, which can certainly come into this active time this later part of the week, and day-to-day activities. So taking care of that stuff while at the same time balancing that with this adventurous spirit and this, philosophical right brain energy, and finding the medium point with that. But in either case, an awareness of both. You should have a good knowledge, a good wisdom at your side here this later part of the week, with these wisdom houses being activated by this full moon. So that's the work week. Then Saturday and Sunday, Saturn does go station direct. So anything that you've been recently working on and reflecting on about that alone spiritual energy, it's a good idea to start putting that into practice for the remainder of August. And then that will shift and build those foundations for Saturn, who will be going into your 1st house. So a lot of this too is Saturn is finishing a cycle for you. And, this is the completion cycle. So finishing up some things so that when Saturn goes into your 1st, you guys can really put in that hard work and discipline for your intentions, yourself, your drives, self-image, things like that relating to the 1st house. Also over the weekend, Mercury is going to be trining up to Uranus. So nice aspect coming into that 9th house. You've been learning perhaps a lot about wisdom and this spiritual stuff, or, university stuff. So that is going to be quite exciting. So I do recommend this weekend mixing things up there, especially with expanding your horizons, whether it's mentally or physically, such as traveling. And, maybe spending time with friends, and more of this deeper stuff is very important, because Mercury does rule that 8th as well as your 11th. So all those things I think you'll find very exciting to mix up this weekend. All right, Scorpio, so have a nice week. If you guys have any questions, please let me know. Thank you again for all of your support, and I'll see you all next time.